Karen Burchell, Creative Katie here. Welcome to my channel, Mixed Media Creations. Take time to hit the subscribe button. If you click on the bell, you can choose the option to be notified as soon as I upload new videos. That way you won't miss any. Today we have a video in the Build Your Stash series. In this series, I show you inexpensive and quick ways that you can take a little time and build your art journaling and mixed media stash. And then you have the supplies and materials at the ready when you want to create. If you wish to support my channel, you can shop through my Amazon influencer links or make a donation through my PayPal link. Both of these links can be found in the description box below. Thank you so much for supporting my channel.
If you've watched my videos at all, you will have learned two things about me. I love using texture in my art, usually by using modeling paste through a stencil, and I like adding gold. I like the bling, specifically gold. Now, I've always wanted to combine those, and Golden and probably other companies make a modeling paste of sorts, medium, that has gold flake in it, so that when it dries, the gold flake shines through and adds texture and stuff. Now, I've looked longingly at them. I've picked up those containers in the store and then put it down because I cannot bring myself to spend the money for that. Then the other day, quite by accident, I came across an idea where I can get a similar effect using just the gold acrylic paint that I am using pretty much on every piece. And actually, lots of times we'll use the leftover paint to do this. Now, here is an ATC that I created a while ago. And with the exception of the gold flake that's on the side, it has gold on it and it was sitting there. So this is gold flake here that I created using the technique that I'm showing you. It's texturized, you can see it, you can add it to whatever, wherever on any of your pieces, canvases, ATCs, iCads, art journal pages, and you get that bling. Now, what you need is simply gold paint. And I have Artist Loft brand, but you can use Liquitex Basic brand, whatever gold that you have. And, I'm going to grab I have some Martha Stewart gold paint. And I'm going to grab, I don't have gold and just the dollar store brand, but I have silver. So we'll do a bit of an experiment today with that. So what you're going to do, it's kind of taking advantage of, what you usually end up having skins. So you just take paint and spread it on a craft mat. Now, I did try doing this on a sheet of acetate. It did not work. And it got static cling and stuff. So I thought, that might work. So I am doing it on my craft mat. And I'm just spreading it fairly thinly across the craft mat. It does not need to be thick. When I discovered this, I just had leftover paint on my craft mat and I was cleaning up and I scraped it. And then it got me thinking, oh man. So I'm just spreading this out. So the bad thing is if it's on your craft mat, you cannot create at that moment. But this is a build your stash. kind of deal. So I think that's good. Then I'm going to, because we're going to do a bit of a experiment here, I'm just shaking up my silver. This craft paint. It will definitely work with a heavy-bodied one, just the same. This is much more liquidy, so, you know, I'm not sure, but we'll have those answers for you, right? And even if it, you know, you've got different paint, try it. Do a small swatch of it and see what happens. What have you got to lose? If it works and it's something that you can incorporate into how you do art, right? The thing you know, something might be a great idea, but if it's not you, if it's not your art, then it's not your way, then it's not important. So I'm going to use the Martha Stewart simply because I have it here. These are the metallics and I have the pearlescent, so you could try that too. But quite honestly, for me, I would be primarily using the gold. So just off the cuff, you know, again, the heavy body spreads really nice. You get a nice layer. This kind of peels off the mat. The dollar store, it's very liquidy. And this Martha Stewart one is kind of halfway in between. So, but whether that makes a difference, I don't know. So now what you need to do is just let this dry. I wouldn't recommend using a heat tool just because you don't want this to bubble. So I'm just going to leave this as it is. I'm going to go for my walk. And when I come back in about an hour, I'm thinking this will be dry and we will continue making gold texture flakes. So before I went, I just remembered I have gold gesso, the Crafters Workshop gold gesso, and I'm just putting a swatch of that down on this side as well. And we'll see if it works, how it works. Okay, so it's been about an hour and it seems to be all dry. So what we're going to use, credit card. And all you're going to do is scrape it up. Now, it's still tacky. This is still tacky. So I would say this needs longer. So I'm going to come back in another hour to continue because I want it to be kind of like this, where it's more flakes, and these are very dry. So, and I know the day that I discovered this, it had dried, you know, maybe even definitely overnight, maybe, you know, so we will have the answer to that coming up. Okay, so, oops, sorry about the glare. I left this overnight because when I came here, I was getting the same kind of effects. Now, you'll notice when I'm peeling this up with the credit card, this was the craft paint, it's coming off like a skin. This is not what you want. So I'm, you know, looking at, I would say this is not working. you know, I don't want this as a skin. There are uses for acrylic skins, but that is not what I'm doing. And here, you know, it's all coming up like that. So I'm going to say no to the craft paint, that it's not coming into the flakes that I want to get the effect. So we'll do that. I'm finding the same thing with the Martha Stewart. If I did this thinner, it might work, but it's not. We're getting a little bit of flakes, so it might, if I'm doing, but you want those flakes, and you want it to break up in of itself. So I'm thinking, okay, you need it to be very, very thin, but even when it's thinner, it's not really coming off the way that I although this potential. Maybe I try it, put it a little thinner. You know, I think the humidity that you're in might have an effect. It's been very cool and rainy. I like the color in this, so, you know, if I can get it to flake. So, and the gesso one is the same. It's pulling off in the skins. But this is the Artist Loft Old Gold. So if you take this, and what you want it to do is to come into flakes. You do not want it. So you kind of want to rip it so that you're getting those flakes. So then get a container, you know, and just pull them. You don't want them bunched together. You just want to pull it. Now it's going to be tacky. It's acrylic paint, even if it's not dry. So, you know, I would suggest taking it and putting it in that container. So definitely the Liquitex Basics is doing the most of what I want it to do, which is become flakes. Okay. Now let's just try, I mean, we can all have a key card or credit card, but let's just try a palette knife. And again, you want little bits. You do not want strings. So even doing it in a circular motion seems to work better. And by all means, try it with whatever gold or metallic paint you want to do this with first, just to see. Run your own experiment. You know, maybe you can get something to work that I can't. You know, before you go out and buy something specifically, like I don't want people to go, I want this to be a craft hack, which is use what you have to get what you want. So this is quite nice in here, like these flakes. Now when I did with the acetate, it got, when I was pulling it off, it became very static clingy, so that's why I didn't like doing the acetate. You know, and you can, to some degree, pull it apart and break it up so that it's finer. But you don't want to spend a lot of time doing that, because that's time you could be creating other things. Okay, so I'm going to finish cleaning this all up. And yeah, the gesso gets very tacky. So I'm going to clean this up and we'll come back and I'll show you what the next step is to using this. So with the gold flake, it was a little bit thicker and it stuck more than my initial one. So before I even edited the video, and got it to that point, I thought, you know, what was different? And I think what was different is what was on my table was stuff that I had thinned to splatter with. That's what was on my craft mat that dried, and I went to scrape it off the one day. So I thought, okay, let's continue the test. I mean, you can totally use this the way it is, you know, and break it up, and it's going to add a nice little bit of bling to your projects. But, you know, I thought, let's just do this one step further, because that's what I did. I just spread it. And I'm thinking something about adding the water that weakens it, that's going to make it more flaky. So this time I have a old craft mat, so I can move it from my surface. So while it dries, I can continue to craft or to do whatever. So I'm just spreading that all over on here. And you can see, you know, I want it thin.
After leaving this to dry completely overnight, I came back and I'm scraping it off with a credit card, and lo and behold, it's coming off in those nice little flakes. It's not sticking together at all. So the key here, lesson learned, is to thin it as you would to splatter, and then spread it out on the craft mat, and then scrape it off, and that seemed to work. So I've left the rest of the video in, but I would try it with whatever gold paints you have, because that might work for the craft paint or Martha Stewart's or even the gesso. If you like the color, try it with what you have. This came out so beautifully. Little flakes, they're not sticking together. And it's definitely the look that I want to have.
So when I glued this one down onto my finished card, kind of detailing, what I did is I just mixed it with, I just grabbed my matte gel, and I just kind of put a good layer of matte gel in, and then I just pressed the gold flake in there a little bit, I didn't press it down too terribly hard, because I do want it to be texturized. Like, I want it to be to stand out. Now, the problem with using anything that's matte is you're going to lose some of the bling. You're going to lose some of the shine that is in the gold flake. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's definitely dulled. Now, if I varnish this, it may come back, but so if that's all you have is matte gel or matte Mod Podge, anything matte is going to take some of that off. You're going to risk that. So you're going to have to see what you like. But I thought, okay, what do I have that's gloss? And I thought I could use clear gesso because it dries, but it says matte translucent. So again, I'm thinking this, in the case of my gesso here, is probably going to do it matte. So I have the Liquitex Gloss Medium. You can get Mod Podge in gloss. You can get Gel Medium in gloss. But again, I don't know that, unless you're going to use it on other things, I don't want you buying one product for one little activity. That doesn't make crafting sense. So I have this gloss medium and varnish that I use for a couple different other purposes that I have in my stash. So that will, when I mix this, it's going to stay glossy. I also have pouring medium Liquitex, and if you've watched videos where I've used pouring medium, you can see this has been kind of varnished with the pouring medium, a treatment in there. And you can see how glossy and shiny that is. So I am going to actually just put a coat of the gloss medium on top of this to see if in fact, if you use the matte medium for that purpose, if this will bring it up. Now, the thing with gloss is you need to really apply it to the entire piece because you don't want to have half of it gloss and half of it not. It's just not going to look, you're going to have some shiny parts and some not shiny parts, which is why I use matte gel medium. And I'm just going to put it on the whole thing here, just a light coat, and I'm just going to see. And in all likelihood, I'm not expecting that you're going to be able to tell the difference, but you're going to have to trust my eyes at this end if it brings it up. So that I'm just going to set aside and let it dry. So I just have some more ATCs here that I'm pulling out that have gold in them, and so I'm just going to demo what I did with that. So I'm just, this time I'm going to use the gloss medium to kind of adhere some of this. Now this, you know, it's sticky. It's sticky and, you know, they're flakes and they're going to get everywhere. So you kind of need to know that and, you know, fuss with it. That's the advantage of buying the gel medium or the golden that already has that in there. So you can use, picking this up, I'm looking for, you know, you can use a palette knife and just kind of to position it. Now see, when you have the long pieces, you really don't, you know, as much as possible, you want to avoid that. So I think I just want to put some right on the butterfly center. So I'm just putting a coat of this here, putting it on. And then I'm going to see if this works. See, everything kind of sticks. So you're going to put it in. You're just using the gloss varnish or pouring medium as, like, even if you had gel medium and you just put it on top and push it in and don't get the gel medium on top of the flakes, it's not going to affect the shine. So there's just a little bit of a detail there. So this one, you can take this, you know, with the gloss another way, and let's just give this a try. I'm just going to put, and I think this will work with the gloss medium or the pouring medium or anything glossy, because you're not risking the shine. You can mix it into that and then apply it how you see fit. This would not be something I'm doing, I would be doing lots of. like a big area. It's kind of a detail or just that added. But it's quite nice to add that little bit of bling. And I'm going to put some more here. This is by far the easiest, to mix it with it and then stick it on and have the whole thing. This is the easiest way. You're not fussing, but we'll see how it, if at the end it still maintains the look that we want. And again, what I want mine to look like may be different than what you want yours to look like. So we're just going to give that and that some time to dry, and we'll see if this has, this is definitely, I can tell right now, it's going to make it shiny. So if all you have is matte medium and then you have a gloss varnish or spray or semi-gloss, it will pick it up a little bit. So DIY gold flake or gold medium. Give it a try. Build your stash. Okay, so now everything has completely dried. So this had the gold flake on it, and I used matte gel. And then I wanted to see if I could bring back the shine, and I put a coat of pouring medium or gloss varnish on it. And quite honestly, if you don't want it shiny, that's not an option. So this one, I put the gloss gel underneath I painted it on where I wanted it, and then put the DIY gold flake there. Warning with that, unless you want to coat it all varnish, it does, if you get any of the gloss medium on anything that's not covered, that will shine. So I don't mind that, it's left the 3D. This one, where I mixed the flake with the gloss medium ahead of time before I put it on, I don't like. It kind of, you've lost the texture of it being gold flake sticking out. It's more, I don't know if you can tell. I mean, it's a different effect, and you might like it, so give it a try.
So making your own gold flake is a good thing. I'm going to keep this container on the side, and when I have leftover gold paint that I've made mixed up from splatters, I'm going to scrape it off and add it to this container. There's this luscious gold flake. So in summary, thin the gold paint with water as you would if you were going to splatter, if you're going to do this on purpose. Spread this on a craft mat and let it dry overnight. Then you're going to want to scrape it off with a credit card or palette knife and put it into a somewhat sealed container. And I recommend using gel medium. Even the gel medium matte, I like that much better. Thanks for watching.